Everyone, welcome back to yet another session of legal updates. I hope you have been revising all the legal updates that we uh, discussed in our previous sessions, and I received quite a lot of questions from your side. Uh, we'll be trying to respond to all of your mails very soon, right? So, starting with today's discussion, very first news I have is with regard to Philippines. Now you would ask, ma'am, why Philippines? We are not giving any law entrance examination of Philippines. But the thing is, these kind of news, whenever you come across it, always try to relate it back to India and see what is the scenario in India. Because whenever there is any international news with regard to their law and it has its, and if you feel you can trace any of its relation to Indian law, yeah, and especially when it is being discussed in the newspaper, right? Means it is, suppose Philippines news, the author is discussing it in the newspaper and suddenly the author connects it to the national law as well, right? And there's only not one article but multiple articles on it. You understand that it becomes an important part and you need to trace it back to your Indian perspective as well. So firstly, what is happening in Philippines? Philippines has taken up a step. They have made an amendment in their law wherein they have amended the age of the sexual consent from 12 to 16 years, right? Now, it is very surprising that Philippines was one of those countries which had the lowest consent age, sexual consent age by now, right? And finally, they have made it gender neutral, irrespective of a child being male or female. This particular age limit for the consent would be applicable to both male and female children and the offenders, right? So Philippines is a country wherein the children are very much prone to sexual violence. 1 in every 5 children there are victims of sexual violence. And that's why this news. However, coming back to our nation country, right? That is India, beloved India. What is the scenario in our country, right? Very first thing is with regard to the age consent that we need to know, and that is 18 years, right? In our country, anyone who is below 18, they are considered to be a child under POCSO Act. POCSO Act means Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. In short, we call it POCSO Act, right? So under that, a definition has been given for children, which mentions that anyone who is below 18 years of age would be considered as children, and any sexual activity with any child would be considered as sexual assault under this particular law, right? So becomes an important part. However, you can also, with regard to this particular news, I mean, okay, this one, I would also encourage you to go and read about the marriageable age in our country. So that was a point of discussion, not this year, not last year also, maybe early last year, early months of it, but not very much. So it has not been in discussion since quite a while now in the newspaper, so not very important, but for your knowledge, just for your reading habit, or maybe just to have some quality reading, you can go ahead and read about the marriageable age in our country and all the proposals that is being discussed recently. Next is with regard to Char Dham. You would have heard about it, maybe if not from the newspaper, then from your parents, grandparents, or through some classmate or anywhere like movies or any show, right? So Char Dham, all of us know there is Char Dham pilgrimage for Hindu religion that is followed. Now, why is it in news? Why so much in news? Because recently Supreme Court has urged our former Chief Justice, who was Justice A.K. Sikri, to become a chairman of the high-powered committee, which was set up for the Char Dham Mahamarg project, right? So a few months back, the ex-chairman of it, that was Ravi Chopra. He is a veteran environmentalist. In February last year, he resigned from the position on the grounds that he was not very satisfied with the work, because he wanted to ensure that he would be able to protect the Himalaya from the calamities, but finally he realized that he won't be able to do that and he won't be having much of role there. So very quietly and Shanti say he stepped out of the position. Now, after almost a year, more than a year, now Supreme Court is urging Justice A.K. Sikri to take up the position, to take up the chair, right? So, ma'am, what is Char Dham project? Why so much in discussion? So, in Char Dham project, it is a project with regard to the Himalayan region, yeah, wherein the government is working on developing highways, national highways, NH, okay, and not only developing new highways, but also if there are roads, they're also working on widening those roads, okay, and it's a project of 900 kilometers, okay, which is too much, especially in Himalayan region. So they basically connect four Hindu pilgrimage sites, which are Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri, and this entire project would be called Char Dham Mahamar, Char Dham Highway in short, right? So that is just an information for you. Next is with regard to POSH Act. POSH Act means Prevention of Sexual Harassment. And recently, Kerala High Court asked the organizations of the film industry to work on POSH Act, to basically make committees, to make bodies who will be looking into the cases of sexual harassment of women in the film industry. And that too, according to this particular act of sexual harassment of women at workplace, right? Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act of 2013. How did this act come? So there's this very interesting story, and everyone should be knowing about it. So there was this woman, Vishaka. There were other bodies also. So along with one of them, a lot of parties actually, NGOs and parties and women who went to Supreme Court with this complaint of sexual harassment at the workplace. One of them was Vishaka, and this matter was taken up by the Supreme Court, wherein until then there was no law with regard to this particular area of harassment, of sexual harassment at the workplace. So Supreme Court sort of laid down all the guidelines, which we call Vishakha guideline, and later on it was converted into a law which we call POSH Act, right? So that is what it is all about. So there are three main parts to it, wherein the guideline says that every institute, every organization, they should have a committee, they should have a body specifically to address the problems related to sexual harassment of women at workplace. So there are three key obligations there, as the law suggests, as the name of the law suggests: prevention, prohibition, and redressal. Means firstly, you need to prevent any of such activity. If any of that if any of that happening, you need to prohibit that, and finally you need to redress that for the women, right? So this is what POSH Act is all about, and you must know about it. It is an important law because it keeps coming up every now and then in the news for some or other reason, and now Kerala High Court has taken up such a progressive step, so can be a point of discussion again. Next is with regard to registration of political parties. Of course, whenever you start to read about the registration of political parties or AAP or BJP, there's always a chance of delving deep into only politics. Okay, ma'am, BJP did this. Okay, ma'am, Congress did this. Okay, ma'am, AAP did this. Why, how, what? Yeah, so I appreciate your inquisitive mind, of course. Everyone should have that inquisitive mind. But for now, what are we going to do? We are only going to focus on the legal aspect of it, right? Of this entire controversy that is going on. We are only going to take out all those legal aspects. I've put it all here, and we are going to discuss only and only that, right? So recently, what has happened? We saw AAP winning election at some other places other than Delhi, right? That was Punjab. And they are now getting into election in Goa also, wherein they won certain seats, right? So recently, Election Commission recognized AAP as the national party. And not only that, they revoked the license, they revoked the status of the national party of Trinamool Congress and NCP and CPI as well, right? So these parties went off roof, and AAP is already there as a national party. So this is just a news, okay, a political news. What are we going to focus on? We are going to focus on this. that is National Political Party of India. How do we decide, how does the Election Commission decide that a particular party is a National Political Party of India, right? So there are 3 conditions to it. First, such party should win at least 2% of seat in the House of People. Okay, at least 2 seats. And not only that, those members should be at least be elected from 3 states, and those states should be different. Okay, not just 1 state, but 3 states. Other than that, they must get at least 6% of votes from 4 states in addition to 4 Lok Sabha seats, right? And then they should be recognized as a state party in at least 4 or more states. Ma'am, do we need to remember all of this? Ma'am, do we need to mug up all these conditions? No. You just need to understand this. Okay, why are we discussing it? We are only discussing it where I'm only bringing it in front of you so that you get familiar with such provision, you get comfortable with such provision. And if any of these kind of provision come in any passage of your examination, you'll be comfortable with it, right? You'll be able to crack it a bit faster. So if you can remember it, if you can memorize it, that would be great. But if you can't, right, which I assume most of you won't be able to, maybe won't be interested also. So in that case, just have a look at it, have an understanding, write it in a paper, try to make the flow chart and all. Okay. And in that case, once you write it on your own with a pen and a paper on your own, right, you will see that you will get a better understanding of it, and you'll be able to retain that understanding for a long time, and it will be easier for you to crack these kind of provisions in the examination. Now, third point here says that a party should be recognized as a state party. Now, ma'am, national party kam tha kya? Now you are talking about state party also. Means there is national party and there's state party also. Yes, there are state party also. And there are eligibility criteria for state political party as well. Okay, what are those? Here are they. First is they should have at least 6% of votes in the assembly election, or they should have 6% of votes in Lok Sabha, plus there should be an MP from the state as well. Okay. Or if not that, then 3% of the total assembly seats they should have, or at least 1 MP from every 25 Lok Sabha seats, or 8% of total votes in the state during the Lok Sabha election. Right? So all are these conditions. If any one of them is fulfilled by any one political party, that party would be given a status of state political party. And once it is done in 4 states or more of 4 or more states, then if 2 more conditions are added to it, it would be considered as a national political party, right? So that is why it becomes a bit important. So that would be it from my side, guys. Thank you so much. And if you have any question, any doubt, anything that you need my help in, any guidance or any mentoring or with your strategy, with any concept, with your preparation, anything, right? Please write it down in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out, right? I'm here only for you guys to help you out in your preparation so that you can give your best. So that would be it from my side, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next session.